All right, thank you everyone for joining tonight. I recognize almost everyone in the room, so thank you so much for being here to hear about our proposed Autism Center program in Oxford. I'm Pam Biehl. I'm the Executive Director of Special Populations, and I have with me tonight Jessica Taylor, who is our Director of Special Education Programs. And Courtney is advancing slides, but she is our Director of Budgets. So we've really been working hard on getting this project going. This will be the third time in a week that we've delivered this presentation. So the agenda this evening, we're gonna try to go quickly so that we can have some conversation and dialogue. Please know that on December 9th, we'll be doing another presentation to the board. It will be this plus any feedback that we get from here until then. So tonight we're just gonna talk about what is center programming. We're gonna talk about how this project would be funded. And then we're gonna give details about our proposed location and our program plans. So just briefly before we move forward, and I'm sorry to put her on the spot, but Michelle Saunders is here from Oakland Schools. So she's in their finance department. So thank you for being here tonight. I know it was a drive. But we're really partnering with Oakland Schools in this work. So they felt it was important that they had a representative here this evening. So our project does align with our strategic plan. When we had this idea, we really, first and foremost, it was how do we help these students feel like they belong somewhere? So that sense of belonging. We also want to teach skills for independence. It's an innovative idea, both in the proposed structure and then also in just the funding structure and how it could potentially result in a cost savings to the district. And then integrity, because there is a gap in services throughout the county, we do feel like we're stepping up to fill that gap. So just a brief overview of what center programming is. Imagine this pink line is like 2 inches down, but this is the MDE's least restrictive environment continuum. So for students with disabilities, our goal is to have them educated with general education peers to the maximum extent appropriate. So we should have more students in general education down here at the least restrictive and less students more restrictive as that continuum goes up. However, there are some students whose needs are extensive that we do need to consider other placements. And the state does require us to have what they call a continuum of services. So services in general education all the way up to the most restrictive settings, which often is homebound or in the home, residential. So how would a student get referred to a center program? The resident district would first need to show that the student is unable to make progress in their current setting. And it isn't just a one day we had a bad day. This is extensive time and extensive supports that we are trying first. However, if we do get to the point where we see a lack of progress and we see that the student does require some more specialized support, we would be initiating what they call a district service request to the county level. And so Oakland Schools then does some central coordination and refers us to a district that has a center program. From there, the two IEP teams meet, so the IEP team of the student and then the potential sending program. And we talk about the student, we talk about their current placement, we talk about their data. We invite families to tour that location, and we also have the center program staff observe the student. At the end of that, the IEP team meets to talk about, is this placement appropriate? Again, because once we hit a center program, we are talking about no access to non-disabled peers. So we really need to consider, is this the appropriate setting for them? And a parent and guardian is a member of that IEP team whose voice is just as important as the rest of the team. So we aren't just placing students in center programs. It is a long and extensive process to make sure it's what is going to be best for that student. I do want to note before we move forward that ISDs run center programs differently. In Oakland, some counties might run the center programs in their ISD or at their facility and their staff. In Oakland County, they seek resident or operating districts, so other districts within the county, to run the programs. So you may have heard of Kingsley Montgomery. That's a center program in Waterford. You may have heard of Edison. That's a center program down in Lamphere, Hazel Park area. And most recently, it did close, but there was the Pine Tree Center located in Lake Orion. That was a center program as well. So these are county-run programs, but we would be the operating district. So this shows the need. This is actually an Oakland Schools slide from we presented at Oakland Schools last Monday. So this is what they demonstrate as the need. So right now you'll see these are the center programs throughout Oakland County. The majority of center programs are in the south. So if we had a student or students who did require that extensive level of support, they are facing very lengthy car or bus rides down to their schooling. So there is a lack of resources in the north. Additionally, when we're talking about autism spectrum disorder, there is no separate center program for students with autism at the elementary level right now. So with the closing of Pine Tree, that is no longer available to students. So that is a major gap in the county. So how the funding, the operating funding works for center programming, it is a formula, a tuition formula. So we're looking at staffing ratios, but that also includes equipment, training, and materials. So what happens is all the students that go to the center, the resident districts split the cost, and the operating district would receive tuition from the other districts. However, in that tuition formula is included a 7% contingency. That is reserved in the program fund, and that's for general maintenance. Let's say that the flooring tears up or something happens with the building that we need to replace. That 7% contingency is already built into tuition. Additionally, the district can charge indirect costs and land rent within the tuition. So that's a little, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, almost like a thank you to the resident district, the operating district, for running the program, because those monies can go directly into our general fund. So it is a little bit of a revenue boost. So how do we access capital needs funding? So in order to have a center in Oxford, we would need to construct a building. And so where is that money coming from? The ISD or Oakland Schools has a pool of money that they reserve for this purpose, because again, they're looking for resident or Oakland County districts to run these programs. So if we want to access those funds to build a program, we have to go through an application process. So we submitted an application to Oakland Schools. From there, it goes to a referent group. That referent group is composed of Oakland County superintendents, special ed directors, business officials, and parent advisory reps throughout the county. We made a presentation to them last Monday, and then they vote on whether or not they would like to advance the project. So last Monday, we did get unanimous yes votes from the referent group to move forward with the project. What will happen next is we're going to do a site visit, and then there will be another vote by the Superintendent Special Education Subcommittee at Oakland Schools before funding would be approved. So that's where we're at here. We'll do the site visit next Tuesday, and then it'll go to the Subcommittee of Superintendent Special Ed at Oakland Schools. And then once approved, we'll get the funding to be able to move forward with the construction of the building. There is a 25-year commitment tied to operating the funding, tied to operating the program if we accept this funding. So we are very aware that that is a long-term commitment. However, there's some operational flexibility with that, in that we are agreeing to run the program for 25 years. So if we need to relocate the program, as long as we are continuing to offer that service to the county, we'll be still covered under that 25-year commitment. So the key takeaways when we're talking about financing this project, the current status now, we did have resident students at the Pine Tree Center when it closed. So there is nowhere for them to go. We welcomed them into the district, and we wholeheartedly love having them here, and the staff sitting in the front row. The current status is that because there is no program available for them, we are bearing the entire cost of educating those students. So all of the staffing support, the specialized equipment, the modifications to the building and classroom. If we enter into this agreement with Oakland Schools, we do receive the funding to build an appropriate and modified building for these students. We move from bearing the entire cost of educating these students to sharing it with all the students that we would be welcoming into Oxford. And our cost is then just reduced to that tuition, and we gain that indirect cost and land rent into our general fund. So that's an overview of the finance piece. Jessica will take over in a moment, but where we are proposing to have the center is on our Oxford Education and Innovation campus. In spring of 21, the district purchased this from the Dominican Sisters, if you recall. It's about 32 acres, and the administration building, it was their dormitory building, which is located back here on kind of the rear end of the campus, is this 5,700 square foot building. If you work in the district, you know that we relocated student programming there. Our Oxford Virtual Academy, our Bridges Alternative High School, and our Loft, our adult transition program, is located there, as well as our administrative offices. On this campus, along with the acreage, is a building up front, which they call the retreat house or the mother house, and 3 residential homes along this side here, all of which are unusable. So Jessica's going to take over and kind of talk about our plan.
So our proposed plan on the OEIC campus is to build the center up off of the entrance, taking out where the existing mother house is, as well as the 3 houses that, again, all 4 buildings are unoccupiable, unusable. We would be then expanding the entrance to make it safe for bus transportation in, as well as bus parking area, a parking lot for staff and parent visitors, as well as the center and our outdoor sensory area. So the reasons for the location on the OEIC campus here: safety. Positioning the center at the front of the OEIC campus allows for closer transportation for EMS services. We do have students that would be attending that have medical needs. So this would allow them to come in at a quicker through the bus loop route than going around the entire campus. For transportation, the front property allows us to have a bus loop that takes into consideration the safety of loading and unloading the students, as well as having a bus staging station for the buses. The utilities. There are already existing residential buildings there, so the utilities for some of these things are there on the site, and we would not be needing to bring them in further. And then the proximity. We are sharing a campus location. It provides access to the centralized security, food, and custodial staff, as well as extra support staff if a need arises. So this is the entrance to OEIC. So this mother house, yes you can. Sorry, it might change. Okay. So this is the entrance to OEIC currently. This mother house retreat house would be taken out to widen the path down here to create a bus loop. So the bus loop would loop this way down to the school. The site location is in these present locations. So the current parking, which is in this picture right here, would be expanded for additional staff parking as well as visitor spaces, while the center and the outdoor sensory area would be located where these 3 residential properties are, right there. And this is just a general overview of the site location. Again, parking lot where these storage containers are currently, where the center would be is right here, and along right about here would be the bus staging area. So mobile modular, we're looking at going with a prefabricated building. Why this route? Well, a new construction timeline does not accommodate the need there is in the county at this moment. The modular construction offers substantial cost saving compared to the traditional building methods. And Mobile Modular, this company, provides customization that allows us to have these essential changes made to the building for our learners. So these are some of the modular schools in the area through Mobile Modular. The QR codes actually will take you to the mobile modulars, case studies of all of these. So this is Birch Grove Montessori and University Prep in Rochester, Michigan. It is a 10 classroom with shared restroom build, about 10,780 square feet. This is a very similar build of the one we are proposing. We are looking at a 10 classroom unit as well, so very similar. So these are the, sorry, it's okay. These are the inside pictures and then the outside of the school. This is an aerial view of Birch Grove Montessori and University Prep. Again, very similar to the site we are proposing as well. This is Notre Dame Prep in Pontiac. This is actually where we'll be doing a site tour on Tuesday. They use 12 classrooms with shared restrooms, 13,104 square feet. But what's important to point out here is the build time took 139 days. This makes this an accessible option to meet the need that we are seeing currently in Oakland County. This is Spring Lake Alternative Schools in Spring Lake, Michigan. This is a much smaller build, but it's a 4 classroom, but they were able to customize it for shared restrooms, storage, and the restroom spaces are quite larger because this is an alternative high school, so they were able to make larger spaces in the storage room. Again, build time for this, I know it's only 4 classrooms, was only 62 days. And this is Highland Park Daycare in Highland Park, Illinois. This was 4 classrooms, but they were able to customize for Jack and Jill bathrooms for entrances on both sides of the classrooms with a total of 5,880 square feet. So there's some misconceptions when we talk about these prefabricated modular buildings. The lower quality than traditional construction. They are built to the same standard of building codes as your traditional site-built structures. They're temporary structures or trailers. These are permanent structures built on a foundation, and they're designed to last 30 to 50 years. It's the same lifespan as your traditional site-built structures. They don't meet the safety standards. These must meet or exceed all local, state, and federal building codes. The installation is so quick, there must be something rushed in it. Well, there's months of precise engineering and fabrication, and the quality control occurs before they come onto site. So the quality happens before they come to the site of it. So this is the visual concept of what the center would look like. The center being up in front, the parking lot off to the side, and the road. This is AI rendered, so the road would continue, but with the sensory outdoor space behind the school with a fence around it as well. So this is the proposed plan. It is a 10-unit build. We will be using 4 of them as classrooms, classroom 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 4 of them as sensory spaces. The entrance to the building will be right here, where you will walk in through double doors just like any other school with swipe, buzz access to get in. Offices and multi-purpose room will be up front, followed by shared bathrooms, custodian space, all your tech closets, your electrical closets, all of those things you need when you're building, followed by another set of double doors that will also be on a badge access. This double set of doors was purposely planned for kids that might be elopers. This is an added set of safety features to make sure that we are keeping our students safe. Inside, the classrooms connect to the sensory rooms through an internal door. This allows for additional space and allows us to grow as we see the need grow and change with the students that we are receiving. And then finally, through the hallway of the school is the exit door, again, badge swipe doors to a fenced-in outdoor sensory space. So the site prep. So there will be the removal of the 4 existing structures. The outdated utilities, the abandoned water wells, the asphalt driveways, parking lot trees, and miscellaneous items will need to be demoed and removed. We're looking at the site grading, land balancing, new water main for proper fire protection, new domestic water and sanitary sewer services, stormwater drains, and system runoff management for the infrastructure. And then for the driveways in the parking lot, we're looking at an asphalt bus loop with staging area, staff and visitor parking lot, and then the outdoor amenities, which would be to develop an outdoor student space. So the first 4 right here are something that every Oxford student receives in the safety and security: the campus security, the bad entry, the mass notification, and cameras. On top of all of these, because the center will include all of these, we have really looked at doors. The classrooms very much like this classroom, will not have an exterior door, again, looking at elopement risk, as well as we will have a fencing that secures our perimeter. This doesn't only keep our kids safe, but it allows for independence in a safe way outside, knowing our students would be safe. So the outdoor sensory space. This provides a calming sensation or stimulated activities to self-regulate, develops both fine motor and gross motor skills in a purposeful built environment, encourages parallel and cooperative play. As far as technology for the center, just like this Promethean board right here, each classroom will feature a Promethean board, which is the same technology as Oxford uses throughout all of their classes. Computers, the staff will be equipped with the district standard technology for seamless integration and collaboration. Wi-Fi infrastructure, we have looked at that to support not only our staff's devices, but knowing that our students are going to be on devices like AAC, making sure that the Wi-Fi can not only hold staff computers, but also our students' devices as well. And then video conferencing. We will have a virtual meeting room set up, and this is going to eliminate any barriers for families needing to communicate with the school. Knowing that this is an Oakland County center, these parents could be traveling quite a bit, and travel may not be an appropriate way. So this eliminates that barrier and allows for that school-home connection. So our sensory rooms, we've looked at a lot of these gross motor tools of the power up. So these are your swings, your walk walls, the monkey bars, the climbing, the things we're doing for that energy release, as well as the calming sensory tools of the power down. These are the bubble lights, the glow, this twinkle ceilings, twinkle projectile, that calming sensation. So the company we're working with has floor plans that are customizable to support the therapists and staff in facilitating individual therapeutic goals. The specialized equipment is going to be installed for certified installers. All safety features are included. That includes cord covers, cord enclosures, amplifier covers, light covers. All of that will be looked at, and training and maintenance will be provided both on-site and virtual by the company. So this is just a sample design of one of the sensory rooms. It contains things like a ball pit and roller slides, balance beams, the floor tiles of color. But in this corner right here is a blackout curtain that is mounted to the ceiling, and this is a calm down space, giving separate for the power up to the power down, really focusing on what the sensory integration is needed for that student at that moment. So the transportation plan. Resident districts will assign appropriate transportation per each student's IEP. We will widen the entry point and have a dedicated bus loop to facilitate efficient, safe vehicle flow, as well as a designated staging area providing secure waiting and queuing spaces for buses. This again is really important, taking into consideration this is an Oakland County center. We could be having possibility of 10 different transportations coming. So having a safe place for those buses or vans to wait for the students is important for not only our students, but the people that are transporting them as well. So the nutrition service plan. The kitchen and cafeteria are located on the main campus. Oxford has experience with satellite cafeteria services. The meals will be delivered to site, and the meals will be consistent with the OEIC menu. So community integration and inclusion. One of the things that being on the OEIC campus that's great is there is a cafeteria on the campus. So when our students are getting closer to going back to the resident district, we can actually take them into the cafeteria, start working on cafeteria skills that they will need when they transition back to the resident district. As well as we've had so many wonderful opportunities with our group right now in Oxford of the local community. We are able to partner with the Oxford Public Library in developing a sensory-friendly story time where they are willing to come out to the center with the hopes that when we are ready, we can then go to the library as a community outing. We have access to the local elementary schools for gym use and the high school pool. Also, local businesses in Oxford have been so including and understanding. We were able to talk to the trampoline park and explain we need some sensory-friendly time, and they've opted to give us time for just us in there with the understanding of our students' needs to be included in this community. Thank you. Therapeutic recreation. So we contact with outside agencies to provide therapeutic arts and recreation services. Currently, we partnership with FAR to include our therapeutic music, recreation, art therapy. So these are our students' specials. And the reason we go with an outside agency, for example, like we just had music today, but our music therapist is able to use the students' communication devices and allow them to participate in music by pushing buttons on their devices. And she's trained in their augmentative communication devices, and they are included. This special training allows them to access specials that a lot of these students haven't had the opportunity to receive. And then our staffing plan. So the Oxford Educational Support and Personnel Association has already approved extra duty pay for the center paraprofessionals. We are going to ensure that medically trained individuals are on staff, as well as we are going to house a nonviolent crisis intervention trainer. Our recruitment plan will begin recruiting in early January, and currently, the front row right here, is our current program staff, and these employees are eager and excited of this opportunity to move forward. So through Oakland Schools, we are going to be assigned an ASD liaison throughout the implementation. This support would include design and layout planning, classroom setup and configuration, professional learning and training, and instructional material selection. So we are not alone in this. We are really partnering with Oakland Schools to make this an Oakland County program.
So to end on our timeline here, we did start talking about this in April of 2025. And so we're currently in this phase one where we presented to the PA 18 referent group on Monday. And like I said, we have that site visit and then final approval from Oakland Schools. From there, we'll also do the board presentation in December 9th as well. From there, January to May is where we start the bid process. We start issuing purchase orders. We're looking at pulling those permits, starting our excavation, our demolition, and our utility trenching. And then hopefully by April, May, we can start having those modular sections delivered. Looking at May, June, getting it all set up, getting us connected to utilities, start building out the interior space, getting our networking going, finalizing all of our furniture and equipment, with a final launch of the start of school in August of 26. We'd be making sure that everything was up to code, a final inspection, everything is set up, and we would be welcoming our families with an open house and open arms.
So we are really committed to establishing a welcoming educational environment in Oxford where every student feels valued, engages with our community, and develops the skills necessary for personal growth and meaningful independence. And right now we've kind of been going with this every mind matters, every paw counts. Our students are individuals and their individual needs for a school matter so much. But this every paw counts, we are a part of the bigger Wildcat family in Oxford.